Elara had been coming to the Sky Lantern pub for 3 nights now. With each arrival, the city seemed more distant. The pub felt like a dream, suspended between reality and fantasy. The glass ceiling still dazzled her. The stars above shimmered, as if within reach. But tonight felt different. Something was in the air, a tension she couldn't quite place. The silver-haired bartender, whom Elara had come to know as Orin, was wiping down the counter as usual. He moved with practiced grace. His weathered hands, marked by years of labor, shaped the wood with precision. His expression was unreadable. He had spoken little in the past few nights. His comments on the pub were cryptic. It had a strange energy. His presence was magnetic, a quiet force that intrigued and unnerved her. Elara studied him from her usual spot near the window, where the city's fog blurred the skyline below. The moon hung large and bright above them. Its light filled the room, creating a glow that felt as if they were someplace else. She wanted to ask him about the pub. Why did it feel like stepping into another realm every time she crossed its threshold? Still, something in his demeanor kept her from prying. As she mulled over her thoughts, the heavy wooden door creaked open, and a new figure entered. A man, tall and lean, his dark coat trailing behind him like a shadow. His eyes, sharp and alert, scanned the room before settling on the bar. Elara watched as he approached Orin, who didn't seem surprised by the newcomer. He almost expected him. The man sat at the bar, a few seats away from where Elara was. Orin poured a drink without a word, sliding it toward him with the same calm precision. The stranger took a long sip before turning to look at Elara. His gaze was intense, piercing in a way that made her feel exposed, as if he could see straight through her. "I don't think we've met," he said, his voice low and smooth. "My name's Darian." "Elara," she replied, feeling a bit off balance under his scrutiny. She wasn't sure why, but there was something familiar about him, though she couldn't place it. Orin kept cleaning glasses behind the bar. He acted like the conversation wasn't happening. His silence only added to the strangeness of the moment. Darian leaned back in his chair, taking in the room before his gaze returned to Elara. "What do you think of this place?" She hesitated, unsure how to explain what she had been feeling. "It's different. Almost like it's not here." He smiled at that, a slow, knowing grin. "That's because it isn't. At least, not entirely." Elara's heart skipped a beat. She had felt that deep down, but hearing someone else confirm it made the hairs on the back of her neck stand on end. "What do you mean?" Darian set his glass down, his fingers tracing the rim while he contemplated. "The Sky Lantern pub exists in a space between worlds, between the waking and the dreaming. People don't just stumble into it. They come here when they are searching for something, even if they don't realize it." "And what about you?" Elara asked, intrigued despite being herself. "What are you searching for?" He laughed, but his eyes showed no humor. "Same thing everyone else is. Answers. Though some answers are harder to come by than others." Elara was about to press him when Orin finally spoke. His voice cut through the tension like a knife. "This place isn't meant for too many questions." Both Elara and Darian turned to face him. But Orin's eyes were on the glass he was polishing. His movements were calm and deliberate. "You've been coming here long enough to know that, Darian," Orin said. His voice was soft but firm, like distant thunder. Darian's expression darkened. For a moment, Elara felt a shift in the air, a quiet storm brewing beneath the surface. "I know what this place is, old man," Darian said, his voice laced with something sharp. "I know it better than most." Orin's gaze lifted then, locking onto Darian's with a weight that silenced the very air around them. "You know what it was. Not what it is now." Elara felt like she had intruded on something ancient, something old and powerful. She wanted to ask Orin what he meant. But she sensed this was more than small talk. So, she stayed quiet. After a long pause, Darian broke the tension with a sigh, leaning back once more. "You're right. I have overstayed my welcome for the night." He turned to Elara, his expression softening in a gentle manner. "It was nice meeting you, Elara. I have a feeling we will be seeing more of each other." With that, he stood and walked out into the night, his coat billowing behind him like smoke. Elara watched him go, her mind buzzing with unanswered questions. She turned to Orin, hoping for an explanation. But the bartender had returned to his quiet task as if nothing had happened. "Who was that?" she asked in a voice that was a whisper. Orin didn't look up. "Someone who has been chasing shadows for a long time." Elara frowned, unsure what to make of his cryptic answer. "And what about you?" she asked, leaning forward. "What's your story, Orin?" For the first time since she had met him, Orin paused. He set the glass down with care, allowing his fingers to linger on the rim for a moment before he turned to face her. His eyes, pale and deep as the sky itself, locked onto hers. "My story doesn't matter," he said, his voice steady but distant. "Not here, at least. The sky lantern isn't about me."